Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to CU Spotlights at the Synergent Connect Conference 2026. I am your host, Jonathan Taylor, JT with CU Spotlight. With me, as always,
Shirley Sin, glad to be here.
Shirley San. You put a little twang on there.
Texas. I don't live in Texas anymore.
Little Tennessee twang.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Thank you, Shirley, for being here. Thank you to Synergent, speaking of them, for supporting and sponsoring this monstrosity of a podcast here. And we're in Portland, Maine, downtown. We're at the Eastland Hotel, folks. My voice has had it, I think. This will be it for me tonight. And we are literally getting close to beer o'clock here. Going to head over to Luna, right? Sponsored by Systems Engineering. Shout out to the old IT crew that used to answer my phone calls and go, I can't get it to do a thing when we were partnered with them. So lovely, lovely. And we have Katie Ford. Yes. And you are a payments advisor.
Yes.
Now you've made it to that level of payments. Welcome.
Thank you.
And with Synergent, of course, with Synergent. We've had just a wonderful reunion. This has been so fun. But it's great to see you again.
Oh,
so welcome on the podcast here. So let's dive in. How many years now have you been in Synergent?
It'll be 13 years in October.
Okay. Wow.
Not that I'm counting.
Right. That went quick.
It did. It feels like I blinked and it can't possibly be 13 years already.
Sure. Now talk a little bit about your evolution in Synergent. So did you always start in payments?
No. So I have kind of a unique career. I think a lot of folks at Synergent have similar stories, not necessarily my exact path, but I think we've all started somewhere and we never, at least maybe at first, didn't picture the career that we could have or would have. I know I worked at a credit union and unfortunately we didn't have a relationship with Synergent. So I had no idea what I was walking into when I interviewed, and everyone at the credit union that was in the leadership did. And they were like, oh, that's Synergent. How do you know who they are?
Yeah.
It's a technology company. What are you talking about? And in the end, so I started in corporate marketing and communications. I was a corporate marketing communications assistant. And that's what I thought I was going to school to do. And that's what I thought my future would hold. It was marketing and all things related to it. And, I got into the Synergent world. I had a very great boss at the time, Deb Troutman, and I loved Deb.
Oh, Deb.
She was such a great mentor.
The best.
So great. And shout out to Deb.
Shout out to Deb.
And I still talk about her to this day. I'm like, oh gosh, she was so great.
She's still with us. She's among the living. She's happily retired now, right?
I was wondering.
Happily retired, yes. But,
good for her.
So she's moved on from Synergent, but not the world of the living. But so I worked with Deb for about a year and a half or so, and I got to know the company, the organization, the credit unions, and I really wanted to grow my own relationship and know that, if I want a career here, not that marketing is a dead end road, it's not.
Sure.
But for me, I really wanted to do something more for myself. Not again, no shade on the marketers out there. I love my marketing friends, but. So I ended up looking around, and our organization obviously does a lot of technology-related things. And I said to myself, well, hey, maybe we should try exploring one of these avenues here at Synergent so we can maybe learn what we really do. Sure. And not that marketing doesn't know. I should feel like I'm like, oh, marketers are going to come for me.
Yeah, you're really, protecting, boxing around the marketers. It's okay.
I know.
We'll tell Mike to chill out. We'll tell him to chill.
Anytime that I say something bad about marketing or could be received that way, just cut it out.
Yeah. Well, they've got the social media button. That's why you got to be careful.
I know.
What they'll post.
They posted me at 5:00 on Friday the other day, and I was scrolling Facebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my face. I didn't know I was
there. You are.
Here. Mm-hmm. So I do need to be a little careful. Just kidding. But so I started there, and I looked around the organization, and at the time, our leadership, John, Jeff, and Gary, it's kind of like a talk show, John, Jeff, and Gary. They were so great. And I sat down with Gary Glenn at the time and I said, Gary, I want to do something more. Eventually, I would love to be an account relationship manager. That's what our client success team was known as at the time. And he said, well, is that your 5-year plan? And I'm like, well, 5 years is an awful long way away, Gary. And he's like, well, you got to know what you're talking about. You can't grow relationships on hope and dreams. You can, but not quite. So talking, our card services team had a position open for customer support. And I said, that seems like a great next step. So I went, I took the leap, and through happenstance, through luck, whatever, the position opened for the card services account relationship manager role. And so I jumped into that with maybe a year and a half under my belt in card services. So that was an interesting leap of faith that Rebecca took with me, to be honest, because at the time it was like, she know what she's talking about. And this is right when EMV was coming around,
Sure.
tokenization was starting. So it was a lot of new technology to our credit union space. I mean, it wasn't brand new. The world knew about it. Certainly Europe knew about it.
Right.
We were still getting our feet under us. So it was at that time that I was stepping into that role. And then, through the years, things changed. Our client success team sort of consolidated for a bit, and we did a little bit of everything. And then, through talking with Rebecca, I was like, payments, huh? So
Payments, huh?
yeah, payments. and of course, she's got a lot more responsibilities these days
Sure.
with her new title. So I was excited to have an opening to get back into what I used to know. And now I'm trying to teach myself all over again.
Payments is speed of light these
Honestly,
days.
yeah.
Not just from the changes and really what's the future, but what the demand is of our membership now. I think they've gotten a taste of light speed
Yes.
and they want it.
It's scary.
Yeah, they want it. I know I was talking to a credit union here about, those real-time payments and, at my QSO at Bank Social that I'm at now, you're learning about, it's like you have 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And I mean 15 seconds.
If you're lucky. Yeah, that's truly what it feels like.
Approved or, it's either in or out, and that's it. So it's wonderful, but you've got to be ready. You have to be prepared, and you've got to go in eyes wide open on what it is, what it isn't, what you can do, what you can't do. There's pluses and minuses to all of it.
Yeah. And earlier today, we were even talking about ROI and really refining what that means to the organization. I mean, is it one member asking for this very expensive new technology, or is this something you're hearing globally from your membership that you're lacking as an organization, as a credit union? Is this something that you're just really falling behind on? And I think it's hard anywhere, whether it be credit union world or even at home sometimes, when you have an idea or you hear something and then you sort of get blinders because now it seems like that's all you're hearing. It's all you're seeing. I heard the conversation around when you're thinking about a car brand or you're looking at a car and now all of a sudden you're seeing these new Dodge Durangos everywhere and you didn't used to see them. So now all of a sudden they feel like this very popular car, but they've always been there. And it's similar with technology, be it payments or otherwise, especially financial fintech technology. It's there. At this point, it's there. Silicon Valley has it, probably.
Yeah.
They don't. They will.
Right.
But it's one of those, just because you heard it this one time, now you're more receptive to hearing it and seeing it and thinking about it. And now it feels like it's always there. So we really need to be careful and slow down too sometimes. Yes, it's speed of light, but we need to be careful and think it through just a little bit further. How does this fit into the strategic plan we know we want to achieve? What experience are we trying to create? And does this truly feed that experience, or is it one of those nice to have features that we would love to offer, but maybe we need to consider a different strategic plan initiative next year?
Right.
Yeah. We were talking with Mitch Ryan earlier and kind of mirroring the same thing he was talking about is like, it's not just about your relationship with the credit union, but it's the credit union's relationship with their member and what do they want, and having to kind of think backwards, we were hearing earlier about what is the customer or member experience and then working back from that. I'm curious in terms of payments can be so vast. What is it that Synergent in particular is offering to your credit unions that you're working with that differentiates you from some of the others?
In a lot of ways, I mean, this might be a tired talk track for Synergent, but I think it's our service and the support of what we offer, because we pride ourselves in being better than the big guys, even though we also have to partner with the big guys. But again, they're all very smart people, and they speak a language sometimes it's very hard to follow. And I've had so many credit unions say, I was so glad they were on the call because they can put it down to my language. I have no idea what that vendor was talking about.
You're talking about Synergent being
Yeah,
able to...
Synergent, yeah. So we've had in that, and I mean that too, like we've had programmers join calls before
Sure.
with other vendors. We've also had our payments team. We have a fantastic payments team, and they'll join calls between, the payments organizations and vendors and the Synergent team and the credit union team and make it all make sense.
Yeah.
Because again, all these vendors, they're all smart. They're all wonderful. At the end of the day, they have people who are passionate about what they're doing, I hope. And but they can sometimes talk a little too big.
Yeah.
And it can be hard if you're a credit union, especially credit unions. I feel a lot of people are wearing more than one hat.
Right.
Usually you don't have one person who's an expert in this area. And that's what Synergent brings, is the experts to the table in that area. We do have multiple people that can be expert for you in that area. And I think whether it be payments, whether it be core technology, marketing, I mean, I think, do a good job of trying to help make it make sense.
Yeah, it's translating.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, translating.
At the end of the day. Well, we both know a lot of very smart people in the fintech space. Very, very smart. Some would say too smart, just
Jargony.
depending on. Yes. And so working with them to find those talk tracks to help translate, and it's a wise man once told me, don't say what it is, say what it means.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great.
That's really at the end of the day what I think speeds up a lot of innovation in this credit union space, and not just what it means to the folks at the credit union, but what it means to the board members, right? Being able to take it to that level and being able to provide those talk tracks that the credit union can then turn around and go, or be there shoulder to shoulder with the CEO to be able to explain to the board what it means.
Absolutely.
Because so much of this is so important. And if there's just misunderstanding, then that really slows things down.
Well, we talked about that earlier too. Assumptions,
Right.
You get a direction and then you might make an assumption as to the limitations around the direction.
Right.
Maybe that limitation doesn't exist and we're not connecting the right dots here and thinking it through all the way.
Sure.
But I can always tell how well I'm doing because I can go home and try to have a similar conversation with my husband, and I can tell at the point I've lost him or my daughter. She's 8, and sometimes maybe she's got a little more. But I can tell when I've gotten too jargony or too far over their heads.
Sure.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe in conversation going forward, I should find a way to simplify that, even
Sure.
for folks who are in the industry and might know. And sometimes it works and sometimes not so much.
Now, I'm curious. So payments these days seem like if you're saying payments, you're also saying stablecoin, right?
I've seen it everywhere.
Everywhere,
Yeah.
right? It's like AI and stablecoin. Those are the two things, top 1 and 2,
I was gonna say,
every
speaking of the
conference.
3 things that keep you up at night:
Right.
fraud,
Right.
and stablecoin.
Well,
AI.
yeah. So where is Synergent at with all of that, with stable coins, which really what we're talking about payments here, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Digital payments.
Another form of digital
Another form.
payments. Like we needed another one. Like
Well-
at this point, we're collecting them like Pokemon, it feels like.
Sure. Well, and I think that's part of the challenge too, is this vendor sprawl when it comes to payments, right? And having so many different, I talked to a credit union recently, they had 68 providers just on payments.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I'm like,
How? Why?
how do you isolate that to know whose throat to choke if there's something wrong, And
Right.
like, isn't it nice to be able to consolidate some of that, at least from a relationship standpoint with a trusted partner, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's part of where Synergent comes in.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny because, haha, but not really, is that we have 2 different worlds at Synergent, but
Sure.
they all they both work very well together. I mean,
Right.
we have our core world, and through that, there are plenty of payment solutions that need to connect with the core, but don't necessarily care about the card processing side of the world.
Sure.
And then there's the card, we don't do the processing side, but we do make sure that it's all working properly.
Right.
But that also still needs to speak to the core too. And the sides of the house are coming together now. It's no longer, the neighbors.
Sure.
We've built a bridge.
Yeah.
And it's really truly crossed because even with the pay center technologies and your FedNow and your RTP and
Right.
all of the others that are going to emerge as time goes on, it isn't any longer just a core conversation or a card processor conversation.
Yep.
It's a strategic conversation. And Synergent is sort of trying to help navigate that with the information that we have from our experts that we rely on. I mean, obviously, we work very closely with Jack Henry and Fiserv and others in the industry, and thankfully, we have smart people leading guiding the ship through the waters, so we can make the proper decisions based on our strategy, but also the strategy that we get from the credit unions that we work with. Because at the end of the day, we think we know, but we have to take the cues from our credit unions.
And not just smart people, Katie. Wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
it's so lovely. Shirley, anything to close?
No, I'm fascinated with payments these days since I got into AI and learning all this other stuff. It's an interesting thing because I can remember 40 years ago when ATMs came out and we were just processing credit cards, and then debit cards came on, and you had float, you had all these other things that you could think about when you were like, well, I don't get my paycheck till Thursday and today's Wednesday, so I should be okay. Can't do that anymore.
No.
And so, really keeping our own selves, educated so that we can help our members navigate all of these different changes, because we can talk about stablecoin, and some of them are like, well, I really don't need to get into that right now, but they've got to be educated because there are going to be vendors and partners and merchants that they work with that eventually may be the only payment source.
It could, yeah.
So,
and it's one of those things, if you're not paying attention, it can catch you by surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
It will only be helpful for the credit unions, especially, to be ahead of it and to at least be aware of it and educating, because it's that trust, that relationship that builds that loyalty and hopefully keeps that loyalty.
Like you said, like a good neighbor, Synergent is there.
Oh, nice. We might want to work on that. Just change a few more words so we don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, and recently, the CEO at my QSO that I work at, Bank Social, he was in an airport in Mexico. Guess what? Everything in that airport was stablecoin. If you wanted to buy a coffee, you had to convert.
That's
and
15 seconds for you.
I'm like, oh man, this is like, here it comes. So it's like the change is coming. And now granted, Mexico and other countries are usually more advanced than us, ironically, on payments, but it's coming, right?
Yep.
And so it's just having the ability for our credit unions to be able to hold and, work in that environment is important. Well, thank you for coming on, Katie. It's lovely to see you, as always. And if folks wanted to learn more or just pick your brain about the payments world, or were thinking about this or not, how would they reach out?
Well, they can certainly reach out to me through email. My email address, kford, like the truck, at synergentcorp.com. Or, of course, you can always call. Synergent has a couple of different phone numbers to use, but our website has everything listed, of whether you're in Maine, whether you're out of state, whether you want to use 207 or 1-800. The options are there, but I'm readily available and happy to discuss anything related to, payments. I might not always have the answer, but I've got smart people that can get it for me.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Love it. Thanks, Katie, for being on here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Shirley Sen.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Hashtag Shirley on the street, y'all. And thank you to Synergent for sponsoring this and for having us here. It's really fun to come home and do one right here in the 207. So, I am Jonathan Taylor, JT, with CU Spotlight here. And folks, let's keep this movement moving. We'll see you next time.